We all set, Mr. Lopez? Can you hear me, Richard?
Alan, I got you. Can you hear me?
All good.
Perfect. Is Leslie on?
I am.
Hey, Leslie, on the agenda topics, just to confirm on the approval of the revised calendar, is that Dr. Weimer or is that Mr. Calderon?
They're both me.
Oh, both Pete. Oh, they're both. Oh, perfect. Makes it easier. Cool. Thank you. All right. Meeting's open. Let me see. Are we all on? Me, Tiffany. Hi, Aaron.
Richard.
John, Don. Okay.
Hey,
I got
hello,
1 minute. I got 1 minute. Okay.
Richard, do you want me to read the background and discussion when we get to 6.02? I'm kind of going to give that in my overview.
Go for it, Alan. Yes, please.
All right.
All righty, guys. I have 4 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and call this Mercer Union High School District special meeting to order. I'll start with roll call. Aaron Ham.
Present.
Richard Lopez, present. Tiffany Pickle.
Present.
John Swigert.
Present.
And Julio Valadez. Not on yet. Okay. All right. We'll start with the flag salute. Please join me in the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Thank you, John. So I've been moved and seconded. All right. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, hearing none, we'll call for the vote. That's an aye for me, Leslie.
Same. Aye from Aaron.
Me also.
Tiffany, you're not coming in very clear. So I don't know if you're gonna have repeated issues, but both times you've tried to talk, it's been muffled.
I know how to translate for her. I think that was an I.
Aye for me, Leslie. It's John.
Leslie, is it open on the board docs?
Yes, it is.
All right, because that little window's not popping up. Just asking. Okay.
Oh,
you.
but something happened. Hold on.
Okay. Because I think we're all present at the vote.
Not Julio.
Okay. There we go. I believe we all said aye. I said aye, so motion carries 4-0. We'll move on to the action agenda. The first one is 6.01, approval of the revision to district calendar for 2020-21. And I believe we had one public comment on that, Leslie.
Yes, we did. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared.
That's okay.
I highlighted it so it'd be easy to find. And
Yeah, it was from Miss Birdie. I forgot the last.
there's Kidwell, yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I have it here,
Got it.
Leslie. Okay,
I
never
just
mind.
found it. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. So this comment is from Bertie Oliveris Kidwell. She says to consider a revision to the calendar for the 2020-21 school calendar with such short notice and without due consideration for the logical progression of learning, particularly for classes that rely upon incremental building of knowledge, such as mathematics, AP, language, and science, among others, puts an undue hardship on students and teachers. Allowing the school year to progress as was committed to students, teachers, and parents for this semester as planned would allow for thoughtful strategizing and reassignment, a logical break for students and teachers. Changing student schedules and teachers mid-semester is not conducive to the continuum of learning, nor is it best for student success. Please allow the semester to continue as planned and committed, and make the change when logical at the semester break. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Leslie. Okay. All right, Mr. Peterson, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, President Lopez. I have a quick overview that applies to both of these items I'd like to begin with. Our job in this process, us, the governance team, is to take the information Merced County Public Health gives to us and then use their guidance to inform this body's decision-making. Until this past Tuesday, we were told the most probable outcome was that we would not be able to return until later in the fall. And because we have to switch at a grading period, this meant January for MUHSD. This board has very publicly, along with myself, said they want parents to have the right to choose what is best for their child during this pandemic: in-person instruction or distance learning. Regardless of the current survey outcome, parents will have the right to choose, regardless of the outcome. It's not a contest. 2 days ago, the survey was trending at 70-30 in favor of in-person instruction, and that was with 25% reporting. Today, it is at 62.5% and 37.5%, with 45% responding, and that is for in-person instruction. We are trending down back toward our July numbers of 50-50. I don't know where we're going to end up, but we're definitely trending down. And that is a good thing. It is highly likely we will be able to offer an A-B schedule to students that report to campus. A-B means that students come every other day. That's the best outcome for teachers and students that want in-person instruction relative to an ABC schedule, which is every 2 days. This past Tuesday, Merced County Public Health told us they were confident that we would reach the red phase on October 27th. While that was always a possibility, it was never stated with enough confidence that the district could make plans around it. That news is what brings us here tonight. Some believe we are moving way too fast, and they cannot make a decision by Sunday. Sunday is when the survey is due. And we understand that, and we will allow you to change your mind. I do ask that all families respond by Sunday. And if information comes forth in the next 2 weeks that would drive you to change your mind, no problem, you will be allowed to change it. We want what is best for you and what you think is best. If you have a problem at any of your sites, email me directly and I will take care of it. I understand that many of you need more information. Tonight is not about details. Tonight is about the concept of allowing parents choice, moving the first quarter grading period back 2 weeks, and adding an intersession of 2 weeks between the quarters. That's what tonight is about. And that intersession is so students can improve their grades and reacclimate to the campus. The board and the community should know all other elementary districts are moving this way. It may not happen in the next few days or week, but we all discussed this on Wednesday. The board should know that the mayors of Merced, Atwater, and Livingston support this plan, along with Supervisor McDaniel and I'm sure others. And another reason for urgent action is that we have to open in person while we are in the red in order to stay open should our county go backwards. We will have an FAQ prepared, much like the summer, for staff, for students and parents prior to our meeting on October 14th. We will present a full and detailed report to you at that time. This meeting and decision could not wait until the 14th, as the quarter currently ends on the 16th. And that simply would not be fair to staff. And I want to be very clear. There is a lot of excitement right now. The data could change. And if it does, we will adapt as we constantly have been doing. With that, Mr. Lopez, I move to 6.01. Background and discussion. In an effort to maximize reopening possibilities, the proposed calendar moves to the end of the first quarter to Friday, October 30th, 2020. The superintendent recommends the Board of Trustees adopt the proposed revision to the district calendar for 2021.
I move to approve the revised district calendar for 2020-2021.
I second the motion.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on this topic?
I just really want to say thank you to not only our district, but to parents, teachers, and community members who, following last week's meeting, texted, called, and emailed, and were overwhelmingly in favor of changing the calendar so we could get kids back to school earlier. And for people like Dr. Asadi, who has tirelessly crusaded for our youth, I think this is a huge win and the opportunity to give choice. And I am most grateful to the district for finding a creative solution. And I applaud them for creating the intercession so that kids can have a chance to get caught up, mostly to improve grades and reacclimate, as Superintendent Peterson said. But I know there's been some concern that students may be bored, and there may be some students that are bored, but for the vast majority who have fallen behind, I think this is a critical time. But for a lot of kids who are perhaps in AP classes, this will give them a chance to actually learn better and be better prepared for those exams as well. So just again, thank you to everybody who's put in the effort to make this come to fruition. I think it is in the absolute best interest of our children.
Richard, I have one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm happy with the plan, and I also thank the district for putting that together. But just a few comments. At the last meeting, we didn't have this information. There was not enough information to put together a plan. Now that we have the information available, we have a plan before us. That's a distinct difference between the last meeting and why this meeting was called. The other thing I want to point out is the reason there's such a sense of urgency is that as a high school district, we are unique in this county. We are the only high school district. Elementaries have the option to apply for a waiver. We do not. And so we have to open during that eligible window. And as Mr. Peterson said, if we miss that opportunity, we do risk not opening until much later. So that's the sense of urgency, and then in needing to change the calendar so that we can make it a logical move and be able to provide something that's in the best interest of all students and all staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both Tiffany and Aaron for your comments. Obviously very insightful. I think it's the right move for the high school district. And as you both have mentioned, it's about getting kids back into the classrooms and are reopening and doing what's best for kids in the long run. Any comments on your behalf, John?
No, I agree with what Aaron has to say, and I just want to clarify one. I didn't leave the last board meeting out of frustration. I had a prior career and business commitment that I had to leave for. But before that, in the prior action discussion, I made it pretty clear that I support nothing but going back to school and being as normal as possible. And so I think this is a great move in that direction. I'm happy for it.
Thank you all very much. Any further comment on that then? All right, then seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for the vote to approve the revised calendar. I'm an aye, Leslie.
Thank you.
Motion carries 4-0. Move on to 6.02, the return to learn, the in-person plan. Mr. Peterson?
Thank you, President Lopez. The Merced Union High School District is committed to offering parents and students an option with regard to the best learning experience for their child. On September 29th, our county COVID-19 numbers began meeting the criteria needed to move from purple to red. If the numbers plateau or continue to improve over the next 2 weeks, the county will officially move into the red, allowing schools to reopen under the county health department guidelines. If we do not take advantage of this opportunity and our numbers begin to trend negatively, it is likely we will remain on distance learning for another 3 months. If we make this switch to face-to-face learning while we are in the red and our numbers begin to worsen, we can remain with face-to-face learning. The superintendent recommends the Board of Trustees approve the return to learn in-person plan.
Okay, and with that, Mrs. Rohrbeck, are you and Mr. Iniguez ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so once again, just to remind the public that this topic, I believe we have a number of comments. We're allowed at 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes per topic, and I believe we had a number of comments for tonight's 6.02 agenda item. So with that, Mrs. Rohrbeck and Mr. Iniguez, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, President Lopez, I'm going to start the timer on my cell phone. And I have got some messages that my internet connection is unstable. So wave at me if you need me to stop, and I'll let Mr. Iniguez take it over, okay?
Got it, Leslie, go for it.
Okay. The first comment is from Paul Hogue. Mr. Hogue says, my name is Paul Hogue, and I'm currently the athletic director at Merced High School and have been a teacher in the Merced Union High School District for 25 years. As a union and certificated staff member and in charge of all the athletics at Merced High School, I am 100% in favor of our return to on-campus plan for students and parents who wish to return. Not only has the mental, physical, and social, emotional health of our students been affected by the shutdown and 100% distance learning, our sense of community, social interaction, and even our ability to communicate with each other in a normal, respectable manner has been affected. Over the past 2 weeks, we have been able to allow our student athletes the ability to have cohort workouts on campus through our Phase A1 plan with tremendous success and participation. Our kids are ready to return. This Phase A1 protocol has allowed us to work with our athletes in small cohorts through precautionary measures without the overt risk that is so prevalent in our community. I believe that with the right plan, we can institute this in everyday school activities and begin a return to normalcy for our students, staff, and parents. I ask you to seriously consider the positive aspects of our students returning to school while promoting a safe, healthy, and sanitized environment for all. We can do this if we work together.
Mute there.
Sanford.
Okay, next is from Aaron Camp. I am writing to express my deepest concerns for getting our kids back to in-person learning. We are failing our kids and we will be paying for this failure for years and years to come. Distance learning is lacking in the social and emotional components vital to our kids' maturity. I've had to put 2 of my kids in therapy to deal with their emotional state through this time as they have become severely emotionally depressed. As a local employer, I have seen the effect technology and social media has had on kids coming into the job marketplace. Kids have enough issues with trying to navigate technology and to be able to communicate with the outside world as it is. By keeping kids from in-person learning, we are furthering the gap and dysfunction that is being seen in the job market. I have kids coming to apply for a job that are not able to communicate in person or hold a conversation with the live person that doesn't talk back in emojis. Please mark me down for full support of getting our kids back to school and giving them the education that they are entitled to and that you and I received.
The next comment is from Eric Exakian. He says, I am in favor of a return to learn in person. Please count my support for this item.
The next one is from Denise Sanchez. It says, this comment was made in Spanish and uses Google Translation. Hello, good afternoon. I would like to inform you how the community, I would like you to inform us how the community service that the young people have not been able to complete will be handled to get their recognition, since now it will be more difficult for them to go somewhere to complete it.
The next comment is from Kim Costa. Kim says, it is stated that if Merced County numbers worsen and go back to red, schools that are in person can continue to be in person. Please explain why this is, and will students be able to move to distance learning from in-person learning if their family decides it is safer for them? Teachers have been on video from their classroom during distance learning. Is it possible to live stream lessons from the classroom to those students at home so there are lessons every day? Thank you for your efforts and diligence. Your hard work is truly appreciated.
Next comment is from Jasmine Prin. She says, the damage you are doing to children is despicable. Get them back in school.
The next comment is from John Wendell. He says, let me state clearly that I passionately support a return to school. As a tenured teacher serving MUHSD for 15 years, and as a parent stakeholder with 2 students enrolled in our district, I have seen the effects of distance learning from many angles. It is difficult to overstate the negative impact distance learning is having on the social, emotional, and intellectual health of our students. I am seeing students who were on the honor roll with straight A's now receiving straight F's. I am seeing students who have just given up on school. They don't turn anything in. They seldom show up for class, and when they do, they are generally non-responsive. I am seeing students who fit California Department of Education's own definition of child neglect, frequently unsupervised or left alone. Who is responsible for this? As a mandated reporter, who do I report as the suspected abuser? The state, the parents, the school district? I am seeing students who cannot attend Zoom calls, because they have primary caregiver responsibilities for their younger siblings' education. I am watching my own daughter, who currently has a 4.0, struggle to get assignments done like she never has. Today I heard my own son say, school isn't really about learning, it's just about doing assignments. I am seeing students who have told me they generally haven't come out of their rooms since March. Our own survey indicates we have over 1,600 students who considered suicide before the pandemic. What about now? I am dealing with parents who are frustrated that their children are forced to stare at screens for 8, 9, 10, or more hours a day. I am one of those parents. Superintendent Peterson, members of the school board, I am confident you will do the right thing for our community and our students at this time.
Next comment is from Stephanie Wendell. I'm writing to express my very strong support to the reopening plan of the district. As a local educator and parent of 2 high school students, a senior and a freshman at MHS, I have had a front row seat to the absolutely devastating effects that the ongoing school closure has had on my own children, as well as countless families in our community. Local students have had every shred of normalcy stolen from them and have had to deal with the stress and uncertainty at levels that most adults can't handle. To see my own children struggle under the weight of distance learning has been difficult, yet to know that there are students in our community who are subjected to far more trauma at home because of the ongoing school closure is almost unbearable. I have filled out more suspected child abuse forms than I can count throughout my years as a teacher. I know what happens to some students at home, and it sickens me to know that because these students are kept away from school, they are suffering in silence. How many children in this district are being victimized because the teacher isn't there to notice the signs of abuse? How many children in this district are engaging in risky behaviors because they aren't at school? How many children in this district are failing because a computer screen and a video lesson can't come close to the impact of a living and breathing teacher in their presence to inspire and challenge them? I vote no to the reopening plan. To vote no, to the reopening plan would be, in a sense, be voting yes to allow the students of Merced Union High School District to continue to suffer, continue to fail, and to continue to stay shut down will cause more damage to this community than any of us can imagine. You must vote yes to reopen our schools.
The next comment is from Melissa Whitaker. Melissa says, please open school fully. In-person teaching is a must.
Next comment is from Nathan Kutcher. It is my fervent belief that children of all ages need to be back in schools to learn. I feel the virtual learning environment has been detrimental not only to the quality of education, but also the social, emotional, and psychological well-being and development of the whole generation. Open the schools and let those children attend that want to learn in person. The benefits far outweigh the risks. Thank you.
The next comment is from Caroline Kutcher, and it's an exact duplicate of Nathan's. It is my fervent belief that children of all ages need to be back in school to learn. I feel the virtual learning environment has been detrimental to not only the quality of education, but also the social, emotional, and psychological well-being and development of a whole generation. Open the schools and let those children attend that want to learn in person. The benefits far outweigh the risks.
All right, the next comment is from Claudia Villafan. As I write this email, I feel a mix of emotions. As many parents probably are experiencing, I am anxious to get my children back to school and my life back to normal. The likelihood of that happening anytime soon, I know, is not a reality. Having children in various age groups, I see how differently distance learning affected them. Thankfully, academically, I haven't had any issues. My younger children have thrived and in some ways blossomed, learning more self-sufficiently, responsibility, and even seem to find confidence that sometimes isn't there when you have 20 plus other students staring at you. My oldest high school student, unfortunately, has had a much more difficult time. It is my priority that she is safe and healthy, not only physically, but mentally. I want her to return to school with her classmates when it's safe. It will always be a balancing act, and the responsibility eventually will fall on me to decide when it is safe. Numbers are trending correctly, and I'm leaning towards the benefits of in-person learning outweighing the risks. My question is what will happen if or when cases trend the other way? What if she goes back and after Thanksgiving, families get together and it starts the cycle again? What will your responsibility be as a district? Will you fold under public or political pressure and keep the school open when the risk of spread gets worse? I want to know that your responsibility will always be the first to our kids and not public opinion. I trust that you will sanitize, make sure masks are worn and distance is maintained while on campus. As a parent, I have also had this conversation with my children. This question might be answered in this meeting, but what will the protocol be if her teacher and classmates test positive? How will their school schedule be impacted? Will parents that disregard health guidelines be told that they can no longer have their child attend in person? I just want accountability from the parents when they send their child to school without regard for safety or staff and students. Make sure that our priority is their well-being, not our convenience. I see so many people complain having to be teachers. Well, every child's first teacher is the parent. By the time your child is in high school, they should have learned how to manage themselves without the parents having to teach those skills. Our teachers are doing double the work with less appreciation. I hope our community gets a whole new appreciation of what our teachers and staff do for our families instead of complaining about things that are out of their control. I really hope things stay the same. Actually, no, I want them to get better. If they don't, please, as a parent, I implore you to not be afraid to pull the plug on in-person and go back to distance. To the parents, do what you need to do to address your child's mental well-being, just like I have, and stop making the district the ones that look like bad guys just because they decide to follow the science, the data, the facts instead of emotions, convenience, and any personal agendas. I appreciate all that you do, and if I decide to have my child return, her safety will be in your hands. Please do not take this responsibility without making sure that we have safeguards in place if a surge happens again.
Okay, the next comment is from Bertie Oliveras Kidwell. She says, while we all agree that students do best when learning in person, rushing to in-person learning mid-semester is not in the best interest of students. Forced change of schedule classes and teachers breaks the continuity of learning and will have adverse effects on students already experiencing unprecedented hurdles. Rushing to make the decision before the deadline to submit the return to school questionnaire prevents the voices of all families from being heard. A decision of this magnitude must be made with input from all stakeholders. Planning to do so quickly in order to circumvent possible restrictions incurred by an increase to COVID-19 cases may be exposing students, teachers, and families to undue risk. Please vote against this plan and work together with all stakeholders for a strategically developed plan that has less negative impact and less risk to all. She has some questions. What percentage of return to school questionnaires have been received from families? A, at each campus, B, overall. Do you feel this is a complete representation of all the families and students? 2, will families be made aware of which teacher classes will be available via in-person learning versus distance learning so that students and families can make informed decisions about choosing IPL or DL? 3, will masks and 6-foot spacing along with other guidelines be 100% required and with no exceptions or exemptions if IPL is started? Thank you in advance for addressing these questions.
Next comment is from Jenny Trost. This has been a long, arduous journey for all involved. The current situation in our high schools is not sustainable. Please consider allowing families the choice of whether to send their child to school or not as soon as possible. We flattened the curve back in March. The hospitals are not overrun, and our children are facing a disease with a 99.997% survival rate.
Okay, the next one is from Christy Dunham. Christy says, I would like to voice my support for bringing students back to school in an organized and balanced way. I believe students can safely come back to campus if protocols are followed. Many students will benefit from in-person instruction and having physical connection to their campus. I believe that we can work together to create a safe environment for teachers, staff, and students. With a well-planned hybrid program, we can do what is best for students and teachers. No one wants to see any person in our community suffer from the effects of COVID, nor do we want to have a lost year of education with our youth. Together, we can figure out a plan to bring students back to school, to their school.
Next comment is from Debbie Chapman. For those students who are participating in school and receiving good grades, what will they be doing during intersession? Will they still be learning new material? Will they be still working on current educational materials to solidify their learning thus far? Will intersession happen during the school hours of 8 to 12:30, where continued learning will happen, or will students participate during the homework/office hour periods? As a parent, I would like to still see teaching during that time period, but with intersession time for students after academic teaching at 12:30.
The next comment is by Kathy Cathay Hoffman. Good evening. I have questions about instructional minutes for the proposed in-person model. First, I would like to know the number of face-to-face instructional minutes my children will receive each week per teacher if they return in person. Additionally, since there will be 1 to 2 days between the days students report to campus, how many minutes of independent asynchronous work will be expected during that time? Will students have any synchronous time with teachers, excluding office hours, on the days of the week that they must remain at home?
Next comment is from Rob Scheit. We are truly living in unprecedented times. This has been a very difficult process as we have experienced the realities of the COVID-19 pandemic. In my 29 years of education, there has been nothing more disrupting to the education of our youth and detrimental to their overall well-being. This period of time calls for uncommon leadership, the ability to see all the variables of the problem and make decisions that are best for the stakeholders in our care. This is not a time to abdicate or our leadership to state or national leaders. We know the situation our students are in, and for their educational progress, we need to return to the classroom. Their emotional, social, and physical well-being is at stake. They are craving to return to the normalcy of the school setting. They need to be nurtured, developed, and encouraged to grow in all facets of their lives by the people who have been with them through their educational process. Are there risks? Most definitely, but the rewards outweigh the risks. Each day I meet with 14 to 18-year-old students online and for the past 2 weeks in person. They miss the leadership and relationships they have had through their teachers and coaches and are asking personally for us to advocate for their return. They miss their friends and the interpersonal relationships they enjoy on our campuses. They desire to be active and productive, something that has been denied to many of them through the COVID-19 pandemic. We have many students who need to talk to a listening ear regarding the social unrest our country has seen over the past few months. They need guidance to process their feelings and the polarizing news they hear every day. Though this pandemic is common to everyone on the planet Earth, we as the Merced Union High School District need to have an uncommon response to help advocate for our students and community. I hope you will consider making this happen.
The next comment is from Michelle Taylor. Michelle says, I am a parent of a freshman at LCAP. I am also a teacher for the Merced City School District and have chosen to teach from my classroom. The emotional transition I have seen in children has been a great burden on me, as I'm sure many others. I'll continue to finish, or do you want me to stop, Mr. Lopez? I think
Leslie,
you're,
please finish up that last comment.
okay. But then this issue turned personal. My vibrant and social daughter changed drastically, and it seemed like in the blink of an eye. A few months of not going to school and not having a regular schedule really changed her thinking and well-being. When my child was going to be starting school, it was exciting and added part of being able to go back to school. Almost 5 months added to the excitement. Yes, things would be very different for students and teachers, but she would be able to have interaction with her friends and teachers, a schedule, even if it was 2 days a week, and a purpose. Well, we all know how that went, and this is where the downward spiral escalated. Being away from a social setting and having a routine really was an issue. We immediately sought help, and she has improved tremendously. Going back to school is what so many of our children need, not just mine. We need a reason to get up in the morning. They need a reason to brush their hair and teeth. They need to see their teachers face to face to create a connection, and for many, someone to hold them responsible for their actions, because the last thing many teenagers want to do is listen to their parent. Please allow our students to return to school. Please allow them to enjoy parts of what high school is all about. Yes, things in the classroom will be different, but give our children, give our students a chance to start this new normal by going back to school. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rohrback. And that concludes our 20 minutes on this topic of comments.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
can you ask Mrs. Rohrback to give our community and board members a sense of how many comments were turned in?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I believe there were 56 comments submitted.
Leslie, I looked through them and I counted 64, and I could be wrong. But
Okay.
we just got through 4.5 pages and there were 21. So the community outpouring and response has been incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so obviously in front of us, trustees, is the return to learn in-person plan to return back to school on November 2nd. You know, and Mr. Peterson has shared this with us. Are there any comments or concerns or questions at this time before we take it to a vote?
Yeah, Richard, this is John.
Yes, sir.
It's ironic we find ourselves back where we were several months ago, where this is the position that the board adopted to give choice and to allow for either option. And the state came up with its, I would just characterize it as a ridiculous color code system on how we should proceed. We've had a little bit of luck that system has gone in our favor. We've heard the comments on the various sides of the issue. And I think this is just consistent with where we were before. We had a little hiccup, and I know there'll be more discussion, but I like to make the motion to adopt the return to learn plan. And I know that there are questions about details, but I also know that we're going to have a meeting in less than 2 weeks, and a lot more of those details will be worked out. But my position is where it was last week, is the harm that's being done versus not in dealing with this COVID issue. It puts us in this direction easily for my vote, and I make the motion that we do that.
Okay.
I second the motion.
So motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this?
Yeah, I want to thank absolutely everybody who submitted a public comment tonight. Like I said, there were 64, and it just shows what an engaged and active and worried community we have. I hope, well, it's unfortunate that all of the comments can't be shared. I think one asking for more time, more thoughtfulness perhaps was shared, and there were maybe 2 or 3 others like that. There were a lot of questions submitted by parents, some from teachers and some from students. I want to thank Mrs. Mua for encouraging her students in her public health class to submit questions. I think it's awesome to get our students actively engaged in thinking about this as well. I'm just so pleased to see our community passionately caring, and in particular, to see all of the staff from Merced Union High School District who have stepped up and said, we adamantly want kids on campus. I hope that our union will hear that. I hope we won't have issues to that effect. I don't believe that the California Teachers Union as a whole for the whole state of California is representative of how our community feels. And Mr. Lopez, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to request that all of these public comments be published somewhere that everyone can see, because I know people took a lot of time and energy to put forth their thoughts. And the other thing that I think is really remarkable is the fact that, of course, we're all very passionate about our own children and their well-being, but it's the well-being of the greater community that you just hear over and over again, that concern and worry. And we need kids back on campus so that the amazing staff that we have can get back into making a difference and being these incredible positive role models in all of our children's life. And so, I mean, really, I also just, we're here where we are today because people have been responsible. They've stayed safe, they've worn their mask, they've washed their hands, they've social distanced, and we have to keep doing that because the worst thing that could happen is we aren't allowed to open on November 2nd because we roll backward. So please, people, keep being responsible. And again, just thank you for the outpouring of support that has been shown to the district and the board tonight. It is greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Aaron. Anything on your behalf, Tiffany?
Yeah, just one comment. I know there are a lot of questions. I had submitted some questions, Mr. Peterson, some questions have been asked of me. And so I'll send those in and we can expect some detail in our meeting in 2 weeks then, correct, with regards to some of the details about how this might play out if we do remain in the red and are able to open.
Yeah, absolutely. We will go through all the public comments, write the questions as submitted with the answer.
Okay. And also know that even though we did not read all those comments, please know that do not read them all out loud, that we as board members do read your comments. So thank you.
Tiffany. Thank you. Just a couple things. Obviously, there's a lot of work now that's going to be happening here really fast on behalf of the cabinet team and our leadership as far as getting the schedules going. Obviously, pending the survey results come this Sunday. I think there was some questions about the survey, and Alan, if you're saying that we've got about a 45% response rate, I mean, is there going to be like a second push to try to get as close to, I don't know.
Yeah, it's already started.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. And I'm not sure. Okay, and I'm not sure what that threshold is that we're trying to get to 70%, but obviously the more we have, the better. That way you guys can start to make those master schedule changes.
We have to get to 100, Mr. Lopez.
Oh, then that's even better. Good, thank you.
We have to know what they want.
Okay, thank you, sir. And just a couple things on the public comments. As I read through some of them, there were some where some staff and even some community members had tried to communicate to to district office to address some of their questions, and either weren't responded to or nobody was available. I'm highly encouraging our district staff to be available to answer these questions that our community may have. Because obviously we are asking for their input and their support. I just don't feel that if we don't reach back out to them, that then we won't be able to reach have their support in the long run. So if we can do a better job of tailoring that so that we do get responses out to them as soon as possible. I know these are challenging times and we all have 1,000 questions, but it lessens the load for a lot of the work that's going to be that we truly need to focus our efforts on, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none or hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Leslie, I'm an aye. And the motion carries 4-0. All right, the work starts now, Dr. Aguilar and cabinet team. Okay, thank you guys very much. Anything else before we adjourn, Mr. Peterson?
Plan on some sort of in-person meeting on the 14th. You and I, Mr. Lopez, will work on the details of where and how we want to do that early next week.
And we talk about in-person, you're talking board.
The board and, you know, whether we want to move to a gym and allow some sort of community involvement, it wouldn't be able to be a lot, or whether we want to start slow and start here at the district office for the first one and then move out. You know, I think we need to mimic the expectations out there in the community as things open up, right?
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I think we're all in favor of that. So is anybody opposed to that? No. All righty. All right. If there's nothing further, then we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, Mr. Rohrbeck, at 4:49.
Thank you, everyone.
all. Thank you all very much. Have a good weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have
Bye.
a good weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.